after the prize giving for Norra, and so we have had a bit of an adventure and had a whole heap of problems with this race, and hence I've got a book out written down how many problems that we encountered. And we thought it was a good opportunity just to outline how difficult racing in BAJA is, and to just describe what it was like, what the experience was like to do this, and the frustrations and the challenges of trying to do this race. So on day one, we had issues with the fuel system and first of all the heating fans, cooling fans, and then we had issues with the fuel pump. Our fuel pressure was declining. We went out to the highway to get out from the first stage, and got supported by our support crew to have the fuel pumps changed so we could continue on. We only did, how much did we do for that first day?
40 miles?
Yeah, we did like 40 miles on that first day after fuel pumps had been changed, and we stopped again losing fuel pressure. And that was diagnosed as the sponge. There's a sponge in the fuel cell, the fuel tank, which stops the fuel slopping around for racing, and that had deteriorated and left little pieces that had come through the fuel system, so that stopped us. So that night our crew, PO and the boys, they worked on the fuel system that night. It took about 3 hours, tried to clean the fuel system out completely, and then we were ready to go on day 2, which is from, what's day 2 from?
San Felipe to LA?
Yeah, San Felipe to Bay of LA. So we started in San Felipe, and we got about 300 metres, I suppose, not far down the track, about 300 metres, and we started losing power again. So the crew came to us, basically the car stopped. It was pretty frustrating. We got towed out, and the crew diagnosed that we'd blown a piston, which was great news. So hence we were still keen on going on. The boys had a spare block, the spare motor. We obviously had to change all of the alternator and the rest of the system off the existing motor, and they worked till 3 a.m. in the morning, getting that done. We were sound asleep at that time, and then the next day in the morning the boys still had to keep working on the motor because there were problems with the engine mounts. Couldn't get the engine mounts, were slightly different on the 351 motor from the 408 roast motor. They managed to get some engine mounts from one of the other crews, and we got to did we get to the start line? We got the start line late, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
In Bay of LA.
Yeah.
And so we were waiting. We watched the boys working on the truck from our hotel room. Then we went down to the start line to make arrangements with Norra to say that we would be late starting. And we sat there on the side of the road.
Sat on the side of the road. Sad people asking us why we're wearing race suits.
We were sitting in our race suits, people were saying, "Where's your car?" and smirking and laughing. which actually wasn't that. It was quite frustrating that had happened. It's sort of slightly humiliating, really. But we were sort of determined to keep going. Then we started late, didn't we? We got to the start late after Norra had agreed, and we got about 15 miles into the stage. We had a helicopter buzzing around on top of us, and then we started losing power again from fuel pressure. So we left the stage. We had to find a way to get out of the stage, and our navigator Gary worked out how to get us out of the stage so we could get to the highway, so we could get the issue with the carb done. We then changed out the carb, and then we had to do a highway section to catch up with the next stage. And lo and behold, 70 kilometres down the highway, we blow the transmission. So we're on the side of the road there with the truck had to be put on. Was it put on the trailer?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the truck's put on the trailer. The guys went down and had another transmission, so that got replaced that night, and the boys worked pretty much to the early hours of the morning then, and also replaced the transfer case. So the frustrations continued, and day 4 was Loreto.
Yeah, day 4 there was still issues with the transmission, and we went to the junkyard, which was quite a funny experience because sort of Mad Max style. Yeah.
Yeah, the boys worked out that not only was the transfer case fault, we didn't actually get to the start line. And we're in a little side street not far from the start line, and a crane came past, and we had the road blocked and stuff. So we went to this hard case junkyard, which was like, we'd been to a lot of different places on tours on the custom bikes and the choppers, because that's what happens. We have issues, and we're used to going on the side of the road in crazy places, and this was like out there. There's this hard case guy that ran the wreckers yard, and there's old trucks all over the place, etc. And he went beavered round the back with our team guys and found a Chevy and a transfer case that would do the job. They put that transfer case in, and then started to believe what happened after that. Did we start the stage, or did we go straight down the highway?
No, I was on the trailer.
Was it? Yeah.
I can't remember.
We started on, we were late, and we started that stage in Loreto, but again we started losing power, and we all had to get out of the stage again to the highway, and we got out to the highway and had an electrical problem. The truck was missing, so we got the crew chief arrives, and it's changes the distributor out. So we get the distributor changed, we get gassed up, we get ready to go for the second stage. We do 16 miles down the second stage, and the truck stops again. So they're losing fuel pressure again. So the 3 of us are on the side of the road, standing in the desert amongst the scorpions and snakes and stuff, and decided that maybe this is going to be we can't go on. So the truck got put on the trailer and taken to La Paz, wasn't it? And La Paz is where the shop is, so we spoke to the crew who by this time are exhausted, and they couldn't really work out what the problem was. So we withdrew from the race after trying to stay in it for so long and trying to not give up and show persistence, which is something we try and do across our business models. but with the BAJA terrain and the truck and everything, it had beaten us. It was a pretty disappointing experience. I know Ben, I know he was a bit like that too. We tried our best to get through that, and we'd been involved in motorcycle racing and off-road racing in New Zealand, so you expect to have issues in racing. We're familiar with that, and also on the chopper tours, but this one was sort of out of the park really in terms of what happened, wasn't it? And I think what it shows is that the even though we'd won it the first time round, it's actually really, this off-road racing is actually really tough. It's not only tough on machinery, but it's also tough on the racers and the drivers and the crew. And so everybody has to be sort of quite resilient to be able to stay in it, despite all the frustrations. So yeah, we're just sort of talking about what we're going to be doing next time. We're going to be coming back, getting the truck prepped, and then do a local race, probably to shake it down before the next Norra. But yeah, we thought it's just good to go through the challenges that you can face in this country. And what it also showed is we spent a lot of time in the chase truck, going between sites, and we spent time with our crew guys that we would never normally spend time with, which was one of the real benefits. The Mexican people and their crew guys they're really passionate about the sport. It's their livelihood also, but they really want to get home and achieve in the sport, and that passion is reflected not only in the crew but the supporters here in Mexico. So yeah, I think that's pretty much a summary of it.
That's a wrap. Yeah. See you again next year.
See ya.